There is a moment, quiet, almost unnoticeable, when a creator stops chasing the algorithm and starts understanding the audience at a level most people never reach. And in that moment, everything begins to shift. Not externally at first, not in views or subscribers, but internally, in the way you think, in the way you plan, in the way you see content itself, because now you are no longer asking, what should I upload next? You are asking, what will people feel when they watch this? And that single shift in thinking changes everything, because emotions drive behavior, not logic. And while information may attract interest, it is emotion that sustains attention, that triggers reactions, that makes someone stay longer, comment, share, or even come back again. And this is why the most powerful videos are not just informative, they are immersive. They pull the viewer into a state where they are not just watching, but experiencing. And this is where you begin to design emotional curves inside your content, not randomly, but intentionally, mapping out where curiosity peaks, where tension builds, where relief is delivered, where surprise is introduced. Because when emotions are structured, engagement becomes more predictable, more controllable. But most creators never reach this level because they are too focused on surface metrics, views, likes, subscribers, without realizing that these are outcomes, not inputs. And the real inputs are much deeper. Attention, retention, emotional engagement, and understanding these inputs is what allows you to influence the outcomes. At the same time, you start noticing something else. Patterns in your own behavior, the types of videos you naturally create, the styles you gravitate toward, the strengths you rely on. And this self-awareness becomes critical, because growth is not about copying others, it is about amplifying what works uniquely for you while aligning it with what the audience responds to. And this alignment creates authenticity, not in the superficial sense of being yourself, but in the strategic sense of delivering content that feels natural while still being optimized for performance. And when this balance is achieved, your content becomes both genuine and effective, a combination that is incredibly powerful. But there is a challenge here, because as you grow, expectations grow with you, both from the audience and from yourself. And managing these expectations becomes part of the process, because pressure can either refine your work or disrupt it, depending on how you handle it. This is where systems become essential, not just creative systems, but mental systems, ways of thinking that keep you grounded, focused, consistent, because without structure, growth can become overwhelming, unpredictable, and difficult to sustain. And then comes the realization that not every video needs to go viral, that growth is not built on constant peaks, but on stable progression, on maintaining a level of performance that keeps your channel moving forward, even when individual videos vary. This understanding removes unnecessary pressure and allows you to focus on improvement rather than perfection, because perfection is not required. Consistency in quality and engagement is. At this stage, your relationship with the algorithm changes. It is no longer something mysterious or intimidating. It becomes something you understand, something you work with rather than against, because you now see how it responds to behavior, how it scales content, how it tests and expands. And this clarity allows you to make better decisions, not based on guesswork, but on patterns, on insights, on real understanding of how content performs over time. Meanwhile, your audience begins to solidify, not just in numbers, but in identity. You start to recognize who is watching, what they respond to, what they expect, and this clarity allows you to serve them better, to create content that resonates more deeply. And deeper resonance leads to stronger engagement. Stronger engagement leads to better performance, and better performance leads to growth, creating a cycle that reinforces itself over time. But even in this cycle, there is always room for refinement, for pushing further, for exploring new angles, because stagnation is always a risk, and the moment you stop evolving, the system moves past you. So evolution becomes part of your process, not occasional, but continuous, a constant effort to improve, to adapt, to stay aligned with changing attention patterns. And this is what separates long-term creators from short-term successes, the ability to sustain growth, to adapt over time, to remain relevant in a system that is constantly changing. Because in the end, success on YouTube is not a single moment of virality. It is the result of sustained alignment between your content, your audience, and the system itself. And once that alignment is achieved, once you reach that level of understanding, growth is no longer uncertain. It becomes a natural outcome of the way you create, the way you think, and the way you evolve.